Okay, I figured out a troubleshooting issue I wanted to add to this video. It says when this light is on, the red triangle there on the screen blinks. The system cannot produce water. It usually means that there is a leak. And it only provides these pictures to, of course, you open the back and check for where it might be leaking. And so I opened the back, like you might have seen in the earlier videos, and this shelf goes in here, you know, in this part. And this little rubber thing can come loose and maybe cause some leaking. Make sure that's secure. But then it said loosen the cup that's at the back point, and I couldn't figure that out, but there it is. This goes underneath here and attaches to that, and the sensor in there tells it that it is leaking somehow. And so you have to empty the water out of that, and it did have some water in it, and replace it. And let's see. Yes, it is working. So wonderful. I will explain that. This light right there saying warning was flashing, which indicated there was a leak. And I think what I did was I was rolling it around too much, and some of the water got sloshed into the insides. And so once I cleaned up all the water, it was still flashing. And what I had to do was what I just showed you. I reached underneath and pulled that cup out and emptied the water and the sediment out of it and replaced it. So now it should work well with 57% humidity. It usually requires 30% or more humidity to work at its best. And yeah, so this thing is a pretty good, well-made machine. And once you figure out, if I would have had videos, it would have been a lot easier to operate. But yeah, it's working. Yay! Hello, YouTubers. I am one of the few people that has an Aeolaqua air water generator. And I wanted to make a YouTube video about how to do the monthly maintenance. So we'll begin with the filter. First, we will turn it off, press and hold the power, and they usually recommend unplugging it. At this point, you go to this filter, just around the back. It slides out like this, and you will rinse it under the water. So, hang on. So the filter snaps apart, and then you rinse the filter under water. And I will probably take the sprayer and clean it off also. Okay, now that you've rinsed the water out of it, you will hang it up to dry. So, and replace it when it is dry. And before cleaning out the reservoirs, they do recommend that you empty your tanks. And I put these in old distilled water jugs because you are creating distilled water and purified water, so it'd be a good idea to save it and empty out the reservoirs in the machine before cleaning. Of course, you unplug it again. We're unplugged here. And then we're going to pull out the water tank. Again, we're going around the back. The water tank is down here. This is a little glitch. I find it stays in better if I have it taped there. So the water tank pulls out like this, and I just gently rest it down, and I go ahead and reach under here and pull out a little plastic drain tube that is down in the bottom of this catcher. It's just a rubbery thing that comes off. There it is. So that's off, and we pull this drawer out. Little pink stuff accumulates, and that is dirt and scum that cleans off. And then you pull the basket out. In the basket, again, you have more kind of a dirt, scummy collection, and that's why you want to clean it once a month. And at the bottom of this basket, there are 2 filters that you rinse off. So we'll do that. Get the 2 filters apart. There they are. And rinse them really good. And usually, I don't know if you can see it. Sorry. Okay, I rinsed out these filters. I don't know if there is a place to get these replaced. You just have to find parts that are like them. And I'll show you that when I show you the filters. So again, there's the drawer that I pulled out. I will put a little bleach on it because I want to disinfect it. I think they recommend mild soap and hot water. And there's the little pipe that fits. You see how it fits on the bottom of that when I took it out. It goes back in there after it dries. And here's the little cup, and you'll see there's the little sediment in there and scummy scum that collects after a month. So we're going to clean that too with some hot water. And use a little scrub, so I'll probably get a little scrub brush in there somehow and clean that, and even a little bleach cleaner to get that dirt out. It's clean. We'll let that dry. Then we'll go to cleaning the drawer, which I do a little different. You'll see that there might be some water left in there. I will either siphon that out, or yeah, there's some water left in there. So I will pump that out and then clean that. So hang on. Strangely enough, I have a water pump, and I just pump the water out. You could use a siphon, a hand pump, water pump to do that. As you look behind the water drawer, there, the reservoir, you'll see these 2 things clipped together, and this water filter screwed in. You're going to take off these screws and unhook these for now. Okay, just this, what you're looking at when you're looking at the bottom of the tank. There's the UV light, and at the very bottom is something they call the mash filter, and the instructions say remove that, rinse it, and replace it, and reinstall it. But it says if the mash filter is broken, replace that. So that is, here is a tube. It calls tube number 2 and tube number 1. And then they go back into the filtration system, which you see the filters there in the bottom. But now I'm trying to get the UV light and the mash filter out, and it's proving to be a little tricky. So I did try. I could not get this filter thingy off right there in the very back, that white thing. I could not get the UV light out, and even though I took the screws off the back, what I did was spray it out with some bleaching water and wipe it out all clean, and sprayed the filter with some bleaching water, and we'll try to get somebody to help me get this working at some point. So I'm going to put this back on here with the screws and screw them in, and I will put the filters back on and insert them back into there and be done with that part of it. Okay, I did want to show that I have replaced the drawer here with, cleaned out the drawer, replaced the filter back into the cup here. See it there at the bottom, those two filters together. I first replaced the little top drawer here. It came out, attached the little tube under here. I don't know if you can see it. That little tube hanging down from the drawer. And see where it is. If I can touch it. Wherever my hand is where that tube is, right there. Okay, like I said, I pushed it in there after I reinserted the little catching drawer here and reattached the wiring and screws, and I will replace the filter there. But then I started the sterilization process. So that involves removing these two back screws that went in here, removing this top. Then you remove the screws that went into this little securing apparatus. You unplug this and this. So now they're unplugged. This is your top reservoir. So let me get this little styrofoam thing off. This reservoir holds 14 liters. Now again, I drained it. You can either drain it by holding down the spigot button, or I pumped whatever water was in there out. Then they recommend you take 15 liters of water and 1 liter of 30% peroxide and fill this container. After that, you replace This is a sterilization process, so you replace the top. So I have done that. Now they recommend you plug it back in and drain at least 1 liter. Now I'm giving you a look at the filtration system, and I have replacement canisters for these, and they just detach and replace here at the top and clip in, and I got those from something called Something Enthusiast. There's the directions of how to replace them, and certainly will give you the name of the website where you can get a good deal on the replacements. But now I'm going to plug it back in, turn it back on, and drain 1 liter out of it, because they recommend you do that and then leave the peroxide solution in it overnight to, I guess, sterilize the machine. So I've got, I am draining it and trying to hold the camera, but that's how you do it. So we did that, and then it says turn off the unit and drain another liter from the water drain in the back of the unit here. Let's see, you can read those: water drain, waste drain. And that requires unscrewing it and then taking out a little rubber stopper that was there. Then it says leave the remaining few liters into the tank and drain it off in 2 hours or more. You'll turn the machine back on, drain it off, and then it recommends putting a little water into the back shelf here, the back reservoir, turning it on and letting it fill up like you did in the beginning. So we will keep going and come back when it's working. Okay, I have turned it back on. I drained the rest of the water out of the back. I opened the other knobs, and there was nothing draining out of there, but the water drain, the waste drain, and this one, and then replaced the rubber stoppers and secured them with the knobs. I turned it back on, so you see it's at 33% humidity, and it's running. So what's going to happen is the first tank to fill up is the one called Aeolaqua, and then the second tank will be the store, and then we can begin using it. I'll probably empty out the first liter just to clean out the faucet filter, some more of the peroxide out of it. Here's some of your other lights. The UV lights will flash or turn on when the UV bulbs are burnt out. We saw one in the back water tank. We saw one in the top water tank up here. These are, the defrost light will come on when it's in defrost mode. The reflux is just telling you that the water is circulating. The filter light, of course, will come on when the filters need replacing. And there's a reset button. The warning light might come on if there's a leak. It came on one time for me. What happened was that I did as recommended, and I put some water in this back tank before turning the machine back on. I've done that a couple of times and it worked fine, and I've done that no times and it worked, but in this instant I think I put too much water in there, so I drained it all out, turned it on, and it started working just fine. As you see, I've replaced this filter back where it was. I usually blow out the dust from the vent areas with either a leaf blower or a, what do they call them, those dusters in a can type things. Let's see, like these electric dusters do not shake, and you just blow it out. So there are other filters. This was going to show you my replacement filters, and since these aren't identical, I do have a guide to tell you what goes where. Carbon sediment filters, and then this is a post-carbon. So these, you see, these are carbon, and membrane. So I have a guide that helps you interchange these. It's from a website called lifeenthusiast.com. That's life-enthusiast.com. And they were very reliable. It also goes by the name of Matrix, I guess. It came to me from a Matrix Nutrients in Montrose, Colorado. So, and again, the other directions here for replacing the filter are right on the front. And those are your attachment. So there is a very complex filtration of the water, and it does filter out all impurities, and it produces distilled water. But I can tell you it produces cold water. It has the capability of hooking up to city water and still providing you with the filtration system, even if you live in an area, say, where the humidity level falls below 30%, at which time you're not going to produce as much water. It recommends that you drain at least 3 liters of water every day to keep the circulation going, which is always good, not to have water stagnating. Don't keep the machine off for more than 6 hours at a time. I have turned it off sometimes. It does go into a quiet mode once it's full, but when it's like this, it is making some white noise. And if I have to do a Zoom meeting or something, I might turn it off just to turn off the white noise. But it does go quiet once it's full. Let me see what else. You may have noticed when I did clean the top tank, the sterilization process, I didn't fill it full, which it does recommend you do, with the 10 liters of water and a portion of 30% peroxide. I didn't have 30% peroxide. I had 3% peroxide, which is a big bottle of peroxide you get at the drugstore. So I just filled it about 6 liters of water and a bottle of that 3% peroxide. So just to do, I guess, my version of my moderate version of a sterilization. There are some other things that does come with an instruction booklet, but I always liked videos, so it does explain what all the gadgets do, and it is fairly readable, but I always like videos better. But I won't read the whole booklet to you, but it does at least give you a reference to go to. Otherwise, the machine just runs on its own. I keep it in the kitchen where I can get my water. I use it to cook with. I give it to my dog, and use it for my drinking, my coffee and my tea, and it tastes great. Okay, good luck with your Aeolaqua air water generator. Enjoy it. I did want to mention, let's see, it does not use a lot of wattage. I'm thinking, let's see if I can find it. It uses about 600 watts power, which is not a lot, so that is a low electricity wattage use. Okay, thanks for watching. Enjoy.